And I just wanted to start off because I know a lot of you know Jen and you subscribe to her, but some of you guys don't know who she is. So I wanted to bring her on here onto the live, and maybe we can just start off. If you want to introduce yourself, talk about your channel a little bit. It's very similar to mine.
Hey everybody. So come on, that was like the most fun you've had all day, right? I mean, seriously. So my name is Jennifer, and my channel's name is Allfeisty, which is based on a nickname from my maiden name, which was Alfisi, and someone called me Allfeisty a very long time ago, and it just kind of stuck. And I have been doing YouTube and Instagram now, social media, for almost 4 years part time. In my real life, every single day, I'm actually an attorney and I work on policy issues in Washington, D.C. But here on the social media world, I focus on luxury, fashion, and beauty. I was a makeup artist for Chanel literally a half a lifetime ago. And I live right outside of Boston, which is where Sophia and I actually were able to have a lovely dinner once right before she left me and went to Texas. And
I'll
I
be
was
back
very
soon.
sad. I was so sad because we don't have a lot of, let's be honest, guys. I love Boston. I'm from here. We don't have a lot of fashionistas in Boston. So I'm waiting
True.
for her to come back so we can do some shopping.
Absolutely. I'm trying to see if I can come back like next month in the next couple of weeks.
All right. October's
But
a good time.
I know it's my favorite time, but as you guys know, this is like this is like our busy season. There are already so many holiday collections that have launched. It's ridiculous. So, thank you so much, Jen, for joining. That's why I had her on first. Okay, I was like, if stuff goes wrong, she'll be patient with me. She'll still be friends with me by the end of this live. So, and make sure you guys subscribe to her channel, check out her content. It's very similar to mine. Like we like all the same brands. In fact,
We do.
yeah, in fact, I found out about her channel through my own subscribers who were like, "Oh, do you know who she is? She lives close to you and you guys like all the same stuff. You should be friends." So, you guys brought us together.
Same here. Yeah. My subscribers were like, you must know Sophia. I was like, there's no way there's someone who likes what I like who lives in Boston. This is
Yeah.
not, there's no way. And then we met up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like so weird. We have the same taste in everything, guys. Like it's,
Yeah. And she just hit 10K subscribers. She should have 100K, but she just hit 10K, and she's going to be doing a giveaway on her channel as well as kind
I
of like a
will.
celebration of that. So make sure you check out her channel. She's going to be doing a giveaway as well. And so let's start chatting about some of the topics for today. So if you guys haven't checked out my series, like what's new in luxury beauty, I try and talk about just like some of the interesting things that I'm seeing happening in the industry with some of our favorite brands like Chanel, Dior, Tom Ford, because it is fun to talk about the products, but sometimes I always wonder, like, why are they coming out with this product, or why are they increasing the prices, or how come I can't find these products at this store near me? And usually there's a reason for that. And both myself and Jennifer, we do some commentary videos about these types of things, or we kind of fuse it into our reviews. And you guys seem to really like that. So I thought it'd be fun to do this live so you guys can kind of comment as we go. So let's hop into the first. The sun is coming in, so I am gonna move over just a little bit. Hold on one
At least,
second, actually.
well, at
Put
least
my
you get
blinds
sun.
down. What'd you say?
At least you get sun. I mean, we
I
get
know
sun here in Boston, but
it comes into my room in the afternoon and hits me in the face. So hold on one second.
those of you who are in the chat that said you were in Boston or outside of Boston, we definitely need to do a Boston group. But I will tell you guys, when we set this up, I decided I'd do it from this location. I wasn't at all concerned about the windows in the back. I was like, it's not going to be a problem because although it's beautiful this time of year, fall is perfect, in my opinion, in New England. It's not exactly like the sunniest place to live. I love it, but it's it's not for everybody. There are some people who are like, why is it so cold? I'm like, no, it's perfect.
I
There
miss
you go.
that chilly fall weather.
It is nice. It is nice. The sweaters. The sweaters. You gotta love the sweaters.
Absolutely. All right, let me hop over to the first article here. Just pop these up so you guys know which one we're talking about. Okay, so the first couple things here are about Chanel. And I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Chanel is actually They have a new head of fragrance and beauty. So before we had Ann Kirby, and she was responsible for what they call the Comet Collective, which was kind of like a group of creatives that were designing the collections that we've seen over, what would you say, Jennifer, like the past 2 years?
Yeah, I think 2 years. Yeah,
Like the
I think that's.
past 2 years. So just think about all of the collections that I've reviewed over the, the past couple of seasons. Those were her responsibility. So she's moving out, and we have Simona Cataneo who's coming in. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing her name okay. And I just wanted to read you guys a little bit about her background. So she was president of Coty's luxury division. Coty's one of those big like beauty conglomerates where she managed more than 20 brands. So she has a lot of experience. She was senior vice president of Burberry Beauty, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Burberry Beauty, like I still feel like we don't see enough from them, but they do. It sounds like they have some good things. And then she also was head of makeup at Dior from 2008 to 2012. So, and then she also has experience at L'Oreal. So she has a lot of experience, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that they were bringing somebody new in, and kind of wanted to talk about how maybe that might impact the collections that we've been having. How do you feel about that, Jen?
Well, first I have to say, I have to interrupt. We have comments in the chat that if we don't put them out of their misery right now, they're going to revolt. They want to know what lipstick you are wearing and what lipstick I am wearing before we move
Oh,
any further.
so I was wearing, I was filming like a short earlier, and I was wearing the Dior Lit Maximizer in the silver shade, the one that
Ah,
came out with the silver essentials last year, but it kind
yes.
of wore off. So now it's just like moisturized.
It's your lips, but better. See, guys,
Yeah, exactly.
she's just naturally perfect. That's the problem with Sophia. You can't get the color because it's just actually her lips. Mine, however, is the new Tom Ford. Somebody mentioned that earlier in the chat, and it's called On Repeat, and that is the
Oh,
shade name. So now
they
you
have a
all
lot of
know.
good shades. And
Now you all know. There you go.
I'm wearing the new Dior eyeshadow. The
Oh,
um the
the
Dior
backstage.
backstage. The review went live today, so I just recreated the look
Nice.
from that.
I like it.
Yeah.
That looks good. It's pretty. That's very pretty. Okay, so yes, now to the actual topic, guys. Um, so I have heard some things about her from uh some corporate sources that are a little concerned. And now I don't know if any of this is true. This could all be, just chat. This could be gossip and rumor, but they're concerned that she's going to come in and basically tighten the reins financially with beauty, and that the whole Chanel number one sustainability project that Virginia put together was not as effective, I guess, as Chanel would have liked. What didn't do as well as they would like, and that overall their
Mm,
numbers aren't where they want them to be in comparison to like the bags and that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
um, I am a little concerned about that if that's the direction that Chanel's going in. But I would also say, like, I haven't been overly thrilled with the direction. I mean, there's been glimpses, there's been like glimmers of hope, but I haven't been overly impressed with the last 2 years anyway. So it's kind of hard for me to be, you know, difficult about a new person coming in when I actually haven't seen anything they've done yet with the
For you,
company.
is it like the colors and the design, or is it more so the quality? Because I don't know if you
Cool.
guys know this, like Jen used to work for Chanel. She used to work at the counter, right?
Yep, I did. I was counter manager. It
Great.
was a very important title, Sophia, very important. No, but I did, and it was a very long time ago. I mean, this was late 90s, early 2000s. So it was a very different company, really, to be honest with you, at the time. And the focus was different. I mean, Chanel, when they came out with their beauty line long before I worked for them. But the idea was, right, that it was luxury that you could get. It was a lipstick that, although you couldn't afford their ready to wear or their bags, you could always buy a lipstick. You could get a Chanel lipstick. And that's why the prices were expensive, but actually, compared to like when Tom Ford released, they were less expensive than like the
Hmm.
Tom Ford of the world. Now, it was still expensive, don't get me wrong, but that was the idea. And so the quality of Chanel, like the training that we went through, was just, it was intense. And everybody had to have the same look and the same, we all had our same outfits. And it was just, it was, we went through training for every season. And it was very clear this is what you were, supposed to be and do.
Mm.
And that, from what I understand from the essays that I talk to nowadays, is not is not there. Now, I'm sure that was very expensive. Like, I'm sure that was an expensive process, and that probably is something that they don't do as much anymore. But also, there was a relationship building with all of the customers, because it really was. It wasn't the day of the internet. Like, we didn't have the ability to just go online and buy everything. If you wanted
Yeah,
to buy
you
Chanel,
were the influencer.
exactly. You had to go into a Chanel or into a Nordstrom that had a Chanel or whatever it was. So there was a huge focus on quality, which, in my opinion, has been a little more hit or miss the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it, but it
I
seems.
I well, the prices are getting kind of crazy.
Yep.
The I do like a lot of like the color choices. I feel like Chanel is a little bit more fun than what I remembered it being. So I like that they are taking a little bit more risks. But you mentioned the Chanel number one line,
Yep.
and that is one line that really hasn't interested me all that much other than the foundation. And somebody in the comments made a good point, like if you're going to make a clean line, maybe not put a lot of fragrance in it.
Right.
Because it kind of like takes away from that overall branding and message.
Right.
um, it's one of those things where like I wonder if that line didn't appeal so much to the typical traditional Chanel customer. And then on top of that, you guys let me know what you think. I don't see Chanel being as like trendy and popular with Gen Z as Dior, for example. I feel like Dior have done a much better job with like their lip oils and their blushes and the backstage line. I feel like they have been able to have a couple of viral products. And
Yes.
I don't know because I'm not really watching TikTok and those types of things, but I don't like I'm not seeing those little blushes and those other products that they launched as a part of that line going viral.
Yeah.
And they launched in Ulta, but I don't have that article in this
Yeah.
episode, but Ulta's not really doing that great either.
No.
So I feel like maybe they really lost money on that collection.
I think you're right. I think that is very true. And I was thinking about this today because I was going to do a video, and Cassie Thorpe got to it first, but I'm still going to do it. But talking about the row, and someone else mentioned it about Chanel
Yeah,
investing in the row. And one of the reasons that, in my opinion, that the row is so successful is they know who they are and they stay who they are regardless of
the
the
trend.
trend. And it doesn't matter. You could hate the row, you could love the row. It doesn't matter. They are the row. And they know their direction, they know their customer, and they stay true to that. Chanel has, again, this is just my thoughts, but I feel like they've been trying to go in so many directions that they don't have a vision. And if you don't
True.
have a vision for what you want as a brand, it's hard for others to figure out if that's their brand. And at that price point, it's not like you can just be like, well, most people can't just be like, oh, $60, right? Oh, $60, it didn't work for me. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have faith that it's going to be what you want, whatever that is. And I agree with you. I think they've been like, oh, let's do Ulta, let's do number one, I think they need to pick a lane.
Exactly. I'm just reading some of the comments here, and a lot of people are saying, actually, something we mentioned this yesterday in the practice live. A lot of the sales associates, like, they don't seem to know like what's new or hot or what's
Yep.
coming. Like, they don't seem to know. Number one, they don't seem to really know where anything else other than Chanel Beauty. Like, almost like they don't know
Yep.
where they line up and how to position the products. They just know about Chanel. And then a lot of folks in the comments are saying that they go into the boutique or at the counter and they don't know about anything upcoming. And
You're
I've
right.
noticed that especially in the department stores,
Yes.
they don't get anything
Oh
like
yeah.
in Saks in Boston, which I would always go in there and like look around just to see what was new. And I would go up to the Chanel counter and be like, "Oh, when are you guys getting like the holiday sets? When are you getting this? When are you getting that?" And they're like, "Oh shoot, like we don't get them until like
Yep.
weeks later, or we don't know if we're ever going to get them." And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's where people go. Like a lot of people shop at Nordstrom. A lot of people are shopping at department stores. I know apparently they're not doing super well either, but it
They're
does
not.
kind of seem, yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think, again, like I said, I don't know. I mean, I have a number of friends now that are, SAs, and I have a few that are at Chanel, and I can just tell you their training is totally different. Like, I mean, our
Mhm.
training was intense. It was literally 2 days. And they brought in the Chanel counter managers from like the entire region, and they had it in like really intensive, like, okay, this is how you use the products, these are the, and they'd bring in a national makeup artist to like talk about what the campaign was going to be. Now again, back in that day though, there was like 4 maybe 5 collections, and that was it, right? There wasn't these drops all the time, so I think they could be more deliberate in how they rolled out a campaign, and they
Yeah.
could be more like, okay, here are the 5 products. Now there's like so many products, it's impossible to do. And so we were all really well informed, and then we would then bring that information back to our counters and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. But I agree with you. My essay in Boston, she's lovely, she's great, but half the time I know more than she does. Like, I'll
Yeah.
go and I'll be like, hey, what about the 6 blushes? She's like, what do you mean 6 blushes? There's 5. I'm like, no, there's 6. I mean, and it's not her fault. Like, she's fantastic. She wants to know. I just don't think
Yeah.
they're telling her, you know?
I almost look like a lunatic when I go into these stores because I'm like, where's the new thing? No, no, no. I don't want that. I want this. And I'm like, oh, you only have one? I'm like, but there's supposed to be two. Like they don't seem to know. And
It is so true. They look at us like we're they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, never mind."
I know. I wanted to bop over to this article because it's very much related to what we're talking to. This article was about Chanel Beauty moving more DTC, which means direct to consumer, which means you buying it either on the Chanel website at a Chanel boutique, like where they sell the fashion, or at a standalone Chanel Beauty boutique. I know some of you guys have those near you. I think we have one in like Plano or something nearby here in the Dallas area. I've been to like the Miami one, and it says in this article that they opened up 50 new standalone beauty boutiques over last year. It says they opened more than 50 standalone beauty boutiques last year, and it says that since 2021, sales surged 50% as high demand for Chanel's fashion, watches, and jewelry drove a sharp rebound from the pandemic. But then beauty and perfume sales were more muted as a category. It says, and they're blaming decline in travel retail, which like other businesses like Estee Lauder have blamed decline in travel retail as well. The thing is that like people never call out is that like a lot of the growth is from the increase in prices. It's not because they're selling more bags, it's because they increase the bags 10% twice a year. So like yeah, of course they're going to increase 50%. I don't think there's like more people who suddenly are able to buy a $10,000 bag. Like we didn't
Right.
just generate more people with like all this disposable income. But I was a little bit surprised to hear that the beauty sales were kind of flatlining, and it seems like maybe what they're trying to do is focus more on kind of cutting out the middleman as department stores number one consolidate, but also are struggling a little bit. Maybe they're trying to just have more control over that brand experience, how the products are presented, and just have more margin for them to pocket.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think Chanel is trying to figure out what direction to take if beauty is not, meeting their standards, whether it's numbers that they're setting for new releases or overall, you can see that there is a concern. And what I would say is, with the essays not being effective, whether it's Chanel's fault or not, if the retail arm is not doing well, they have
Hmm.
to look to new ways. But what I find odd is that, and you mentioned this before, they're not taking advantage of, and again, I'm tooting our own horn here, but social media in the way that Dior has, because you can see
Right.
Dior has tapped into TikTok and Instagram and other avenues, whereas Chanel really hasn't. I mean, Tom Ford
Yeah.
hasn't either, but I just, if you're gonna go after a certain market, which can make absolute sense depending on what you're trying to do, let's say with a new release, like a clean release, like, number one, then do it the right way. You have to change your marketing. You have to change your way of selling, when times change. Like I said, when I did it, there wasn't the internet, so yes, that was the way that it worked. It was the counter manager, it was the person you were talking to live. But let's face it, the world has changed, and people often buy online, and people often buy after seeing something on TikTok or
Yeah.
YouTube or Instagram when things go viral. So why not take advantage of that avenue? And I'm not really sure why they haven't.
Yeah. A lot of people, some of you guys in the comments were mentioning you felt like Dior won Gen Z on social media. Some of you guys mentioned YSL in the comments. Like, it's pretty clear they're going that route. They're doing a lot of lip products, a lot of blushes, a
Yeah.
lot of things that are just like really easy to kind of apply and show on like a 30-second TikTok or
Yep.
Instagram reel. They're doing a lot of those categories. Um, I feel like Chanel, they have some things that could go viral, but you don't see them. Well, the other thing is they don't send PR.
They don't.
They
No,
don't send it to anybody.
they don't. And I will say, back in the days, like Chanel never did a gift with purchase, for example. Like, that was a thing.
Mm,
They never, when you go into a Nordstrom, there would be, Estee Lauder would have like the gift with purchase with like all the time. And
all the time.
all the time. And people would come to the counter that were new to Chanel and be like, "Do you have a gift?" And never were allowed to have a gift with purchase, because it should be enough, quote, that it's Chanel. And Chanel doesn't participate in sales either, which is why every once in a while you can get something like 15% off at like a Macy's or a Nordstrom, but usually Chanel is excluded. But if you go into the store, you can get the sale. It depends on the SA. It depends on the
Mm,
but
really?
Chanel, yeah, Chanel, a little secret there. Chanel is, because it's Chanel, they always have had this idea that they are excluded and different from the other brands. And that may have been true in the late 90s and early 2000s, before the influx of all of these luxury brands, because now you have so many. I mean, Gucci's part of. I know we're going to get to this later. We have Gucci, we have Hermes, we have so many that
Yeah.
Chanel isn't the only luxury house on the market, and it needs to start thinking of itself slightly different if it's going to be successful. At least I think it does.
I think that they rely a lot on the fact that people are just very enchanted by the brand because like it's Chanel. They can do things that other brands just can't get away with because they are Chanel, but at some point that doesn't work anymore. Like, even Hermes, you can get a discount on Hermes Beauty, like on
Yep.
Black, not often, but like Black
Yeah, but
Friday.
from
Like
time
I
to time, yeah, yeah,
like they'll be included. Like even Hermes has, you know, deals and whatnot.
I agree.
I don't think Hermes is doing social media very well, but
No,
um
but they're Hermes, so they're like, we're Hermes. We don't have no, but I mean, but Hermes has and I guess Chanel has this too, but like they have the Birkin, they have the Kelly, so a lot of times people are like, oh well, that's for this market. I mean, I
Yeah.
do think it's interesting because technically Hermes is more expensive than Chanel for the makeup. Like when you look at the makeup
Yeah,
pieces,
it
but I
is.
have to say, just me, like I've been more impressed with Hermes products, the eyeshadows and some of the lipsticks I love, some of them I'm not as fond of. But I have to say, just if I was going to give it a grade overall, Hermes would be higher ranked than Chanel for the products, like the how they work and the formulas and everything. Yeah, I would put them above Chanel,
Yeah.
which hurts me.
Somebody was asking how do I get an Hermes discount? You need to wait until Black Friday when the department stores do the tiered sales.
It's
So it'll be
coming.
like spend $200, get 20% off. Spend $300, get 25% off, like those types of deals, which I will do a whole Black Friday guide again this year. Maybe a live, we'll see. But that's how you can get deals on some of those things that just never go on sale.
Yeah,
I think with
it's
Chanel
coming.
it I think with Chanel it helps because people know it's not going to go on sale. So there are
Yeah,
some things that people are like, "Well, I'm just going to buy it. Like I'm not going to wait." So I kind
yeah,
of get that, but I feel like they could maybe keep that but just have more of a social media impact so that people actually want it in the first place.
I agree. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a really good point because people know it's not going to go on sale, so they're like, well, I'm just going to buy it now. And there have been things that have come out from Chanel that literally were limited edition and disappeared. They were gone. And then there's other things that come out that were limited edition and then they stick around for forever and come back. So you're like, okay, I don't even, I mean, that also does not it's hard to trust when, you can't tell from time to time if what they're saying is actually true. If somebody says limited edition and it, comes back 3 months later
Right.
and you rushed out to get it, that that can be very annoying and it doesn't engender trust, frankly. I mean, in a brand.
Exactly. I don't want to feel played. Like, don't
Yeah,
play me. I spent all this money. Like, I'm a loyal customer. Just
exactly.
tell me, is it limited edition or is it not? I feel like with
Right.
Dior, they don't even tell you it's limited edition. Then it's just gone.
No,
Like
it's just gone.
the backstage palettes. Like,
And
oh, I
then you
kind of
never see
wanted
it
that. I
again.
wanted to get that. I saved up the money to get it, and then you go and it's gone.
Well, also
Um,
the Dior, the blushes, the blush and highlighter, the I forget which one, the one you have, Sophia, it's the purple, the lavender and the pink one. It has not been like it sold out. I told everyone when it came back, I made the mistake
yeah,
of not buying it because I was telling all of you, and then it sold out and we haven't seen it since. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but did you not think because no one else has it, no other retailer has it. I'm like, did you not think that maybe that would be a popular shade? And nothing. So by the time it comes back, if it does,
yeah,
people moved on to something else. So it's
yeah.
like, okay.
I think if they just sent PR to
Yes.
some people, they would
Yeah,
get more people talking because it's just,
I agree.
yeah, I think it would get more people talking. Let's pop on over to the next article. This one I thought was really interesting. So, every single brand is creating a makeup line right now. Like, we've got Celine Beauty, which is launching any day now, right? We heard
Yep.
October. It's just going to be one lipstick, but then next year they'll have more. We have we have Dolce and Gabbana Beauty, we have Prada Beauty now, Miu Miu Beauty is probably going to launch next year. There's so many. A lot of them good, so that's good.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the word on the street now is that Louis Vuitton is going to be launching color cosmetics. So they already have fragrance, which they revamped that. What was that? Like 2014, something like 10 years
Yeah.
ago. They around that time they started coming out with their new fragrance line, and then now it looks like they're going to be focusing mostly on lipsticks. It says it's going to be the first release and skincare as well. Their strategy it says here, at least in this article, is their strategies to target the young Asian shopping market, specifically Gen Z, but specifically the Asian market. And each lipstick is going to be about €100. So it's going to be, how much are the Chanel ones?
Which ones? The Rouge 31s?
Yeah, how much are they
Yeah,
all together?
they're like $100. And if you get the case, it's like $200. Yeah.
Okay, so they're kind of competing in that realm with the Chanel ones. And this was an interesting quote from the article that, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but it says here that according to Boston Consulting Group, 75% of all luxury consumers will be Gen Z clients by 2026. So within the next 2 years, 75% of all luxury consumers will be Gen Z. And I'm like,
Wow.
what are they get what is a luxury consumer? Because like we all want this stuff, but like how is Gen Z affording all of these things? I don't know. And so just kind of like, we were kind of talking about Chanel with the number one, YSL, Dior. They're coming out with these things because the prices are so high. It's like, how could you save up to buy? I mean, Louis Vuitton has a good mix of products, but I see all
Right.
these videos on YouTube where it'll be like the top 10 cheapest things you can buy from this brand. And it's like a Dior notebook. Because like I don't know if you are younger and you're looking for like an entry level item, but like those entry level items just don't really exist anymore. Like I
Right.
have a little pochette accessoire that I've had for so many years now. Like I got when I was a teenager, but I think it was like $250 back then. Like
Right.
you could get a little bag. Like it still was expensive, but like you could get a little bag and it wasn't like a whole month's rent.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, so when I was going through law school, so that was late 90s, I can tell you that that's when I was the makeup artist for Chanel because it was an easy way to, frankly, it was an easy way to make money. And I did people's makeups for like weddings and stuff. And I could afford like some Chanel makeup, but I couldn't afford, to be honest, like I did not have the money to go out and buy like a bunch of stuff. And in fact, like one of the ways that I had the collection that I had is because they would give us gratis. It's one of the reasons I took the job because I was like, oh, this is great. I can have the things that I love, and I couldn't really afford them. But I absolutely see very young people shopping at Chanel, at Saks, at Neiman's, at the very expensive counters, and they are buying high end designer beauty, but also skincare. And there was
Yeah.
an article in Sephora about Sephora, and this, people are spending thousands of dollars for their kids, their 10-year-olds skincare. And don't get me wrong, I love that people are out there concerned about their skin, taking care of themselves. That's all fantastic. But when I was 20, I did not need the products that I need today in order to, feel my best. And
Right.
so I do question how it's possible that Gen Z, that's going to be the luxury market. But, I am not a statistician. I don't, I love data, but I'm not sifting through data to understand better, like the buying patterns. So I assume that they know what they're talking about. And if that's
Yeah.
correct, and $100 is like the next where we're going, that seems like an extremely high price point to me personally. And I'm, an older consumer who frankly has had more time to put money away. But I have a bunch of lipsticks that are in that range, and I have to say, it, they are there. There are some, depending on what ones we're talking about, that are better, but are they 10 times better? No,
Right.
that's the thing.
Right.
You know?
I think they're looking at the types of people who want to buy luxury, who are actively like shopping for it, maybe have the free time, but
Right.
they don't have necessarily like as much disposable income. Like they are a luxury shopper, but maybe not a luxury customer, or they're very
Yeah.
like aspirational. And so I think
So
that a lot of these brands, they're looking to see like, okay, who are the people that are like coming to our site? Who are the people that are searching for these things? And then they're thinking to themselves, what are the things that we can launch to try and lure them in? Like what is something that we can launch at an accessible price point? And it really, like most of the time, it really is only fragrance and makeup. I mean, even in Celine, like they have the little hair barrettes. The hair
Yes.
barrettes are like $400 for hair barrettes.
That's the thing. Like, that's the thing that I honestly don't get. So I've been looking because I think I've, lost my senses. The Fendi I think you have them, Sophia, the new perfumes, but there's a Fendi holder that
That
goes on your
Cassie
purse.
got.
Yes.
I
And
want
I'm like,
that.
yes, I want that too. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with that? Really? Like, why in
Reapply
the
on the
world?
go.
Yeah. Oh, because I'm out there with my thing on the back of my purse. Like, that makes it's insane. But I'll tell you, I bet you that is a piece that a younger aspirational shopper could reasonably aspire to buy
Right.
versus, say, a Celine bag that's $6,000.
Right. I think that's probably why bag charms
Yes.
are such a trend right now, because it's like, oh, we went this whole minimalist route, but bag
Yes.
charms are in. And I love bag charms, so I'm not
Yes.
shaming it or
No,
anything.
no, I do too.
Like I love bag charms and I always have.
Yeah.
But I think that's why the bag charms are a trend, because it's something cute and small and decorative that you can is on display for everybody.
Right.
So like they see it on your backpack or your bag or whatever, and you can, usually they're under the $300 mark,
Yep.
so it's like
Yep.
something at least that you can get.
You can show
Um,
it off to people and be like, look, see, I have Fendi, I have, Louis Vuitton, I have Chanel, whatever it is. But you could, like, ostensibly, it's something you could probably get.
right. I mean, I hope Fendi comes out with makeup. Like they came out with fragrances
I bet they
so
do.
that they came out with fragrances for this exact reason that we're talking about. Like it was a category that they were definitely missing out on.
Yep.
Um, these are some of my favorite brands like Fendi, Celine, Louis Vuitton.
Me too.
I'm not mad that they're coming out with makeup because I like these brands, and I also want to buy from these brands, but they're just so expensive. It's like I can't do it all of the time. But I
Yeah.
do think to myself, like how much longer can this go on for, where everything is just so expensive that like the only thing that's available is the makeup? I think a lot of brands are probably going to start going. I hope more brands will go more of like the Louis Vuitton route, where there's a little bit more diversification in the product SKUs.
I think, it's interesting. So I have the Coach Empire bag, the 40, the one that's
Oh yeah, the new one.
the new one. Yes.
Okay,
The one
yeah,
that you cannot get. I actually have
it's
to
like
do a
the
video.
Ro Margot dupe.
Yes, and here's the interesting thing about this bag. So I had a Coach bag way back in the day. I mean, we're talking again, long, long time ago.
Yeah,
And Coach was very big back in the day. It was very popular, and it's basically been out of the talk track for a long time. But now you see it popping up all over, as we were just talking about, social media, all over TikTok, right? Because
yeah.
a lot of influencers saw the bag or got the bag or whatever it is. Well, here's the funny thing. I've been looking at this bag and like really going over it by detail while I'm putting together a bag video. And I've been comparing it to my old vintage Chanel and other bags. And I have to tell you, this bag is made, if not as well, in some cases better
They're
than.
very good quality.
Yes, it's extremely good quality. Like, it's done really well. And this bag is like the it bag of the season. And it's now, don't get me wrong, it's still expensive. It's $700. It's not nothing. I mean, I get $700 is a lot of money, but when you're talking about Chanel has prices at 10,000 and the Row Margot bag is, 6,000, $700 is a price point that people could be like, oh, I can
Stomach
aspire to
that.
that,
Yeah,
or I
you
could get
can
that.
save up.
Exactly. And that is exceedingly popular, right? It's taken off. So I do think there's room for brands to do that, whether it's a brand has sort of a middle ground like Coach and is moving into different markets, or a brand like Louis Vuitton or Chanel, whatever, that can make more accessible products. The question is whether they want to. Like, do
Yeah.
they want to, or do they have a focus where they're like, no, we're just going after uber luxury and that's all we're going to do.
Right. It's clear which brands are doing that and which ones are not. Some of them I think will be forced to, like Gucci will be, I think,
Yeah.
because Kering is not doing well at all. I
No.
think Gucci will they'll probably, like when the Marmont bag was all over the place,
Yep.
Gucci was doing well. When Alessandro was first in there, like Gucci was booming. And I actually I like a lot of the designs that they're
Oh, yeah.
launching right now. I think it's just that like a lot of the I really like the Gucci Jackie bag, but it is I can't remember how much it is, but it's a
it's
couple $1,000s.
It's expensive for what it is. And I like the Gucci bags too, but it comes down to like, well, first of all, I think all of us, we buy the things that we want, that we like, that we enjoy. So it's not about trying to make a statement for somebody else. And it's not about, what we want to resell or anything like that. But at the same time, there is this thing in the back of your head where you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on something that the minute I have it is quote out of style, out of fashion, and is worth 80% less than I paid for it.
Yeah.
It does sort of get into your head that you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not as valuable. That's not as you know
It feels like
interesting.
fast fashion.
Yeah, it does. And so I and for at least up until now, Chanel has been able to keep that, as Hermes has done that as well. Whereas everybody's like, oh, that holds its value. That's a valuable thing. That's something that is well made and well constructed. Whereas we know very well that there have been some quality issues, not with Hermes necessarily, but with Chanel and Dior, for example. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I had here next the Balmain fragrances, just as kind of like
yeah,
a continuation of the fragrance mania points we were making a second ago. Has anybody smelled the Balmain fragrances? I don't know where they're sold, but um,
uh,
Balmain is a brand that I feel like was very hot for a while, like a couple years back. Everybody was wearing the blazer with skinny jeans and thigh high boots. Like that, what was it, like 2016, 2017?
the
It was a
blazer
good,
was big. The blazer was big.
the blazer was big, yeah. It was a good time. What a time to be alive. I feel like there were so many Balmain girls and that those jackets were just all over social media.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like he's had a lot of good collections, but the hype has sort of died down. So I'm kind of hoping that they can bring this back with the fragrances, maybe some beauty. But
Yeah,
I think this is a way to kind of get in front of Gen Z and the younger generation.
I think you might be right. It's an odd thing, right? There's certain brands that just don't resonate the same way for whatever reason. Some of it, I'm sure, is name recognition. Some of it is marketing, the way things have been marketed. There's all of that. But yeah, Balmain is they have beautiful things and beautiful designs and interesting collections. It's just they haven't really had something that just sort of caught on. And unlike Chanel, I mean, Chanel is the part of the problem, right? Is the iconic nature of some of these things. It is extremely difficult in this day and age to create an iconic image because things
Yeah.
move just too fast. Like, the reason Chanel became Chanel or the Lady Dior became the Lady Dior or all of these things, there was usually someone, usually a superstar of some kind or somebody famous that, lended their personality to that product and they sort of became synonymous and then they became iconic and people wanted to live that life or live in that fantasy and be that thing. And
Right.
nowadays it changes so fast all over the, like, you go from mob wife to quiet luxury to
Yeah.
pink home decor. And the, you know, it's difficult for a brand to like capture the attention of everyone globally for any length of time.
Yeah, totally. I think that even with like the rotating creative directors, I just don't know if like a certain aesthetic is going to be around for much longer.
Right.
Like, oh, is this like totally irrelevant? And eventually it'll come back, like a lot of Tom Ford era Gucci's coming back right now. Like,
Yep.
eventually it comes back. Um, I have a friend who had like her Dior saddlebag for years. She's like, oh, I just held on to it and it came back. And they
No,
reedition.
it's so true. Like Louis Vuitton did their reeditions, and they just did their reedition of, the denim. And I bought the scarf, the denim scarf, but I have the old pochette bag, and
Yeah.
from 2005 or whatever it is. And I honestly don't remember what I paid for the bag, but now it's worth $2,000 or something. And so, like, because what I think a lot of it is, right, there was many of us who grew up during that time that couldn't afford whatever it was that we saw on, Britney Spears. And
Right.
then here you are 20 years later and you're like, oh, now I can get that. So they reissue it and it becomes popular.
Right.
Which I get. Nostalgia works. I mean, the Barney's New York palette.
Yeah, people are excited about the Barneys, and I'm like, it's just the elephant palette.
It is. And here's the thing, like, I bought that, and I made it very clear, like, I bought it for the nostalgia. I have wonderful memories of shopping at Barney's, and like the experience, like, it literally brings back like all these wonderful memories of me in New York being younger and shopping at Barney's, which was an experience, especially during the holidays.
Mhm.
Which you can't get back because it's gone. So you buy a palette, but that, let's be honest, like, that works. It worked on me, and I knew exactly what I was doing when I bought it. So I get the reintroductions. I get the, coming back to Gucci, coming back to Tom Ford Gucci, coming back, whatever. But like for companies like Balmain, you don't necessarily have that. So going into like the beauty market might be the way for them to find
Yeah.
their
I think a lot of the reeditions, they're good ways to get maybe like millennials and Gen X
Yep. Yep.
interested in like the bags and stuff, but the makeup and the fragrance is a good way to sort of slowly lure in Gen Z. I mean, I think I had Chanel Chance when I was in high school. I don't know, I guess one of my aunts bought it for me, and I think I had J'adore Dior,
Oh, of course,
and
yes.
like those were and I had Burberry Brit.
Oh,
Those were
yes.
those are my
Everyone
three.
had Burberry for it.
I loved
Yes.
Burberry Brit. It was very
I,
like good autumnal scent.
I had it too. Yeah. In fact, I still might have a bottle somewhere. I have in my
I
cabinet.
might still I might still have my bottle in my room back home. All right, let's move on. We're gonna have a little discussion about the Givenchy powder. Somebody
Yeah.
mentioned it in the comments earlier, and I was like, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, do I even need to tell you guys this story? Okay, Givenchy reformulated the Prism Libre powder, and they ruined it. They ruined it so much that it went viral on all the social medias.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't think and I'm the article calls this out. It's like not only did they reformulate it, but they didn't tell anybody really. They didn't tell them why it was reformulated. They didn't say, "Oh, it's to remove the talc." Which, okay, cool. But like it was a completely different powder, and it just leaves me to think when these brands reformulate the products, like I've tried clean beauty from other brands like
Right.
RMS and Victoria Beckham Beauty, and they perform great. So
Yeah.
why is it when some of these bigger brands reformulate things, they ruin it?
They did a really good job in ruining it. You got to give it to them. Like, they went big. Like, they didn't just, mess up like a little bit. They messed up in a really big way. What's funny is that I don't wear a lot of powder. My skin is extremely dry. So, but I actually have like
Same.
three of the Givenchy powders, and I don't exactly know why the Prisme Libre, but probably because I've been trying from the channel, and they're sitting in a drawer. And I've had several people already reach out and ask me if I would be willing to sell them. I'm like, no, no, I'm not selling them. I need them. I need them now for swatching purposes, and comparison purposes. But I will say, you know, it's fascinating to me what you just said, because they obviously knew how popular it was. Like, it's not like this was a shock and it was like a niche product and, like, 10 people liked it. And so they messed with something that only a few people would be upset about. They made a
Yeah.
huge change, kind of like the Guerlain meteorites, similar kind of thing. And I have no real understanding of why they went about it the way they did. I don't understand why they didn't just tell people they were removing talc, because that in and itself would have been at least something, and people would have been like, "Oh, I don't like it, but I understand the rationale." And
Right.
then two, why couldn't they remove the talc and still come up with with a good product? They can charge more money. They are Givenchy. They can do that. Like,
Why did they
people,
make it so shiny?
I don't know.
It was so drastically different.
I,
Like, you didn't think we would notice that we were like shining like the Tin Man now?
yeah, I honestly, yeah, it was so confusing to me. Because when it happened, sometimes I get heads up from, I have some friends that work in corporate different companies. And so sometimes I get heads up about stuff, but I don't have anyone at Givenchy, at Givenchy. And it was funny because when it happened, I saw things like explode, and literally people started like DMing me and texting me saying, "Have you heard about it?" I'm like, "No, I have." What happened? It was like some, terrible thing had happened. And I was like, and it really was, just this massive backlash. And I I've talked about this thing about clean beauty before. My concern has always been, I have absolutely no opinion on the whether you buy clean or you don't buy clean. That is up to you. You decide what you want for yourself and what works for you. There's certain
Mhm.
products that people don't like, don't want in their makeup. Totally understand that.
Yeah.
That's However, just because something is clean, something is natural, does not mean it is good for you. And just because something is made in the lab does not mean it's bad for you. There are things that
Right.
are actually better. And you have to, do the research and understand what it is you're making a decision on. And I feel like a lot of companies have just been like, oh, we're going to slap clean on this and we're going to sell it because, more people like this clean version. And I'm not even sure that they know that to be the case, because, like I said, the Chanel #1 is clean beauty, and I didn't see that take off. So I feel like it's just this reactionary thing that brands do to like make more money. They're like, oh, everyone wants clean, so we're just going to do that. Instead of
Yeah.
actually being like, oh, these are the products that we're concerned about. Here's why we're concerned about them. And here's what we're doing to address that. Like, actually explain to your customers what it is you're doing and why. It seems just extremely rare that any company does that nowadays, especially a big company.
Yeah, I think it's hard because it's just you have to explain, you have to catch their attention very easily, and sometimes
Yep.
it seems like it's just easier to say that it's clean than to say here's here's the way that we think about formulating our products. There are some companies that do that. Sometimes they do it in like a fear mongering way. I've heard a lot of
Right.
criticism about Drunk Elephant, like, oh, we don't have any of this in our products. But like in some cases, they're eliminating things where there's like not a lot of research that
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
bad for you. But like if that's how their company is, it's how it is. Like if people latch onto it, then it's successful for them.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like I have like friends or people in my life who are like, oh, I only use clean products with like no chemicals, and I'm like, well, what do you mean by chemical? I'm like, well, what ingredients are you trying to avoid? And they're like, just like harmful chemicals and toxins. I'm like, they don't know.
But that's the problem because it's not regulated. So part of my job,
Yeah,
my office is in DC. I work on policy issues, and I can tell you guys, the FDA is responsible for a lot of things in this country that they regulate for like prescription drugs. But when it comes to your beauty, there isn't a definition of clean. There isn't a federal
yeah,
definition. So if you're looking at things and it says clean, that doesn't really mean anything. It just means that that company has decided it's clean for the purposes of what they've decided clean is.
yeah.
And there are some things that absolutely have been proven with actual data and science to have, caused cancer or caused terrible diseases. Those things should absolutely be banned and shouldn't be in anything. But other things where we just go, well, we don't like that or we don't think that's good. That's where you start getting down into the slippery slope about stuff. And, talc has been in that mix because talc, it gets really complicated about, what it was part of and the way that it was used and all those things. In and of itself, the data is, depending on who you ask, it's a little amorphous. So, that's where the brands that are starting to, I think, to do this type of thing. But I'll tell you, if you notice, the new Chanel palettes, the new eyeshadows, the mattes, they have talc in them.
I haven't checked that yet. They have
So
talc
just
in
saying,
them.
they have
Interesting.
talc. They do. Both of them do.
Somebody was asking, like, what's the deal with talc? So, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but like when they mine for talc, because it's like a mineral, right?
Correct.
They grind it up into a powder, and that's how you
Yes.
get, your powders.
Yes.
Um, there is a very like rare case where asbestos is present where they are mining the talc. Now, it's very rare, and most of the cases where we've seen it present is with like very cheap makeup. Like
Correct.
maybe the company wasn't doing their quality checks, or maybe they were using sketchy sourcing or whatever, using whatever is the cheapest they can find because maybe they're selling it at like Claire's or whatever for like $1, $2.
Correct.
Um, and asbestos it's harmful if inhaled.
Correct.
So it's one of those things where it's like if if there is talc, which is a very small case, and if it is inhaled. Now, I totally get it. If someone's like, well, I
Yeah.
rather just like not use talc, anything with talc at all. Like I understand that. Like, why not have it be a 0% chance? Like that's
Right.
pretty great.
Yeah.
So that's why, and these brands, they're doing it for two reasons. Number one, because they don't want to get sued. It's
Yep.
very expensive. It was a Johnson and Johnson,
We'll talk
and
about that.
somebody else recently got sued for it, and
Yeah.
it's so harmful to
Good.
your brand. And then the
Yeah.
second thing is because consumers are looking for things that say talc free, which is why,
Yep.
like NARS reformulated their Laguna bronzers. Like that's a
They
pretty
did.
big deal. But those bronzers are good.
Yes.
They
They did
didn't
a great
ruin
job.
them.
And see, that's the thing, right? So, you can, and I agree with you completely, Sophia. Like, if you want to buy, I know somebody who's allergic to talc. I mean, I have all kinds
Yeah.
of issues with my skin. I have rosacea. I get weird stuff on my eyelids every once in a while that I get a reaction to. I have no idea what it is. It's something, I don't know. You know, you, everyone out there should purchase the things they want to purchase because they want to purchase them. Don't let anyone tell you what's good or bad. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But
Yeah.
what I think we're all asking for is like clarity, right? Like, okay, you took this thing out because you, for whatever reason, whether you did it for money or you did it because you're conscious, you felt like it was the best thing to do for your consumers. Great, whatever. Just tell us, let us know what you're doing. Give us a heads up for the people who wanted to keep the product the way it was. They could have bought a whole bunch of them because it lasts a very long time because it's a powder, and have different versions of it if you want to do that. Like you can do different things. I mean, people can make those choices, but it always seems to me that companies, and here's the dichotomy, right? They're right in the fact that you need to catch somebody's attention and it needs to be quick, but at the same time, we're not stupid. Like if you
Yeah.
explain things, we will understand. We will get it. We'll be like, ah, okay, well, then now I get to make a choice for what I want. And, it doesn't have to be like, your consumer credit card statements that have like, 7 million words and you don't read them. It could be
Yeah.
just something really simple as in, hey, we're taking out talc. It's really not that hard.
A couple people or a bunch of people are mentioning in the comments that a lot of the clean beauty goes bad very quickly. Like they don't have the same preservatives. For me, that's the biggest thing that annoys me. Is
Yeah,
just like not having proper preservatives. I
right.
don't want stuff growing in my lip gloss and like especially things that go around my eyes. Like I don't
I
I'm
agree.
okay with the preservatives. Like
Yeah, I'm
I
good.
don't need
I'm
like
good
a
with
test
preservatives.
tube.
Preservatives are great. I'd like to preserve myself as long as I possibly can. No, that, but again, that's the thing, right? Natural versus clean versus toxic versus the words are bantered about in such a way that it becomes difficult, I think, for a lot of consumers to really understand. And unless you have a background in, biochemistry or something, you don't really know what a lot of these things are. I work on the policy side for a lot of these things in supply chain, and I can tell you it gets really complicated really quickly. And, you're not going to try to explain that to people, or you really can't explain that to people in a quick way. But I think there should be some kind of standard. Me personally, I think the FDA should have some kind of standard for clean beauty, and that would just mean, okay, none of the things in this product have been proven to cause diseases, cancer, be harmful, toxic. I think
Yeah.
that's a reasonable standard. Like, I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for. I know what people have said, well, make things more expensive. That's the one area where I don't mind something going up. If you tell me that something's going to be more expensive because you've made sure there's nothing toxic in what I'm putting on my face or body, I'm good. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll pay for that. I think that's fair, but as long as we just slap different things on, packaging or whatever, and not really have a clear understanding of what that means, I think it's just going to continue as long as it sells well, unfortunately.
Exactly. Whatever people kind of latch on to. I don't think they're like necessarily concerned for our well-being. It's just
No,
whatever the trend happens to be.
agreed.
Yeah. If you haven't already, guys, just want to give you a reminder to hit the thumbs up button. Help me out if you
Yes, hit the
can.
thumbs up button.
I know a lot of people watch on their smart TVs, so I don't know if you can do it on that. But if you're on like your phone or your laptop or something, if you can hit us up with a thumbs up, that would
Go
be
back afterwards and hit the
awesome.
thumbs
Oh
button.
yeah, you can go back afterwards after it uploads. Let me bop to the next article. I
Give
think we
Sophia
have
all
just
the love. She deserves it.
yeah. I'm so glad people are here after the technical issues. We have like just one or two more articles left, but I think you guys are gonna like them. This next one is about Tom Ford, touching upon a lot of the things that we've already talked about in this show. Hold on, let me just bring up my notes here. So, okay, in this article, it's called the Vanilla Sex Scandal, which it's a very like sexy name for an article. But the point of the article was that Tom Ford gondolas at Sephora are mostly empty and dusty. Comment if you agree, if you've seen this. It says that Tom Ford beauty sales at Sephora are down 50% year
Yep.
to date. I was like, whoa, that's mind blowing.
Bad.
And then many of you guys know this, but Estee Lauder owns Tom Ford Beauty.
Yep.
So just remember that. Estee Lauder is struggling, and they're actually doing some pretty significant layoffs at the moment. The article also notes that Clinique Clinique is going to be exiting Sephora this year, and Sephora is going to be reducing the Bobbi Brown selection. Clinique and Bobbi Brown are also owned by Estee Lauder. Sorry, didn't draw that connection. So yeah, basically Tom Ford not doing super well, at least at Sephora, as this article says. And then another point that we can discuss that's brought up in the article is Estee Lauder largely ignoring Sephora as a retail channel, which
Yeah.
a lot of you guys were saying in the comments. You were saying the same thing about Chanel. You were like, well, if Chanel was at Sephora like Dior was and Prada Beauty, maybe there would be more buzz. And Tom Ford, similar to what we were saying about Chanel, has also not been super present on
No.
social media, or at least not short form social media. Like, there's no, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, like, there's no viral Tom Ford products. There's classic Tom Ford products that we all know and love. Maybe some of them are being reformulated right now.
They are.
The bronzer, probably. So, you know, Jen, I would love to hear what you think because I know you really like the new lipsticks. They just
I
reformulated the lipsticks.
Yes.
We're hearing some good things. They just
Yes.
came out with the lip liners. Do you think that this is enough to save Tom Ford?
No. So this is what I would say, guys. If you're looking for, I'm serious, if you're looking for a really good lip liner that goes on like perfectly smoothly and stays for all day, these are the best lip liners I've ever tried in my 30 years of buying makeup. Seriously, they're that good. But no, I don't think it's enough. The lipsticks are phenomenal as well. They're excellent. I bought 10 of them, which is insane because I don't need 10 more lipsticks.
Oh,
But
damn.
yeah, well, I bought 10 because to be honest with you, I'm concerned that
They're going to be
they're
gone.
going to be gone. So that's why I
Yeah.
bought them. Um, yeah, here's the problem with Tom Ford. So I had a good friend actually that was over at Tom Ford who's not at Tom Ford anymore. He switched brands for good reason. And we were talking about all the decisions that Tom Ford has made. Now Tom Ford of course is leaving the brand. Technically he's still there, but he's basically out.
Yeah.
And the issue is, if and a lot of people don't know this, when Tom Ford started his brand, he started his brand with Charlotte Tilbury.
Right.
She was a driving force in creating a lot of the products. So the quality of the Tom Ford products, the lipsticks when they first came out, the Tom Ford bronzer, some of the eyeliners that he had, the liquid eyeliner, there were things, honestly, they were so good. They were so phenomenal. And it just caught everyone's attention, and it was just like the thing. They just out of the gate were amazing. And now people look at Tom Ford like it's just this outdated, old old person's makeup, and there's not anything new, and that the Tom Ford essays never know like anything about what the collection is doing,
Yeah.
and they hadn't released anything new or exciting in the longest time, and the perfumes keep going up, and like they're so expensive. And Lost Cherry is one of my favorite fragrances of all time, but it has gotten, I'm sorry, it's the price is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
How much are
And
they now? Like $400?
for $400, and it's the
Yeah.
little bottle, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, no. And so people just, after a while you get disinterested, and there wasn't really anything good. Now this new launch that they've just done, the lipsticks and the lip liners and the eyeliners are phenomenal. The formulas are as close to perfect as I would want them to be for me. But is that enough in a world now that, let's be frank, right? If you're not viral, if you're not
Yeah.
seen on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and if you're not all over the place, and no offense to Sophia and I, but big influencers, the people with millions of followers, if they're not
Right.
touting your product, I,
They
I mean, I
also
know they
don't
brought in
send
Angelina
PR.
Jolie, but yeah, exactly.
At
Yeah.
least YSL.
Yes.
Like, I never know when I'm going to get it. And it's by the time they send it, I've already purchased it.
Yeah, me too.
Like, but at least YSL, like, they kind of try. And I noticed that,
They do.
I'm sure you've noticed this too, Jen. Like, the stuff they send me is not the stuff that they send
No,
the TikTokers. Like,
no, no,
when you go on TikTok, I'm like, these girls, I'm like, I didn't get that package. They're
no.
getting
They
these
go,
like big fancy. I mean, I don't want all that packaging. I just want
same here.
relevant products. I don't even want all the products. I want just the relevant ones. But
But they do. That's the thing. Like, at least no, you're absolutely right. Yves Saint Laurent has sent me their mascaras and recently the lip products, but I've had those
Yeah.
for a year, and again, I really love Yves Saint Laurent what they're doing, like their new products, their new couture clutches. I think they're
Yeah.
fantastic. Love the lip craze, like they're really good. It's just, at least like you said, they're trying. They're part of the game. They are
They're trying.
sending big packages over to the TikTok people, and they're like, "Hey, we know that you can move the needle for us," and they're focused on it. And that's a big part of it. And if you look at their, for example, for their eyeshadow quads that they came out with that are really good, they're $68 or something like that, which is a
Mhm.
price point that's high but achievable, versus Tom Ford, which is $90, and
Yeah.
there's no real marketing of them, right?
It's just a little
So,
too much.
yeah,
Like, make it 65.
I
It's like a
agree.
little bit more in line with what else is out there. It's more than Chanel. I'm like, who do you think you are?
But
You don't have any clout.
that's exactly the problem, right? Tom Ford was always, we're Tom Ford. We don't need to, like, we're luxury. We're coming out of the gate. We're going to be expensive. That worked when they came out, but it doesn't work in the world that they're in now. And I don't think they've really adjusted. And like I said, I will absolutely stand by the new products being excellent. And I would encourage anybody who has especially dry lips, or need something to last, get those lip liners. They're really that good. And the lipsticks are fantastic. But here's the thing: there's a lot of fantastic lipsticks now. That's
Yeah.
that's the truth of it, right? Back in the day, there weren't that many. Now there's actually tons of brands that have really good lip products, and frankly, they're cheaper
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
better
And there's
marketed.
brands like Prada who are coming out with like really nice packaging and they're
Mhm.
like doing I was watching that Sabrina
Yep.
Carpenter music video and in the
Oh yeah,
beginning of the music video she has like the Prada lip balm and I'm like, "Oh, that's
brilliant,
brilliant product placement." Like, I don't know how much
brilliant.
they had to pay for that, but I'm
A
like,
lot.
"Yeah, that's what Tom Ford should be doing."
No, it's brilliant because I mean, people like when you're watching the Emmys or you're watching the MTV Awards or whatever it is, people ask, "What are you wearing?" Or the Olympics, the recent
Yeah.
Olympics. There were certain athletes that had makeup, and people were asking Simone Biles what kind of lip product she was wearing. And that particular lip product that she was wearing, and one of the other women was wearing, I forget which one now, but like went viral and it became incredibly popular and people bought it. That's where, as a brand, you have to think of those things. And I feel like some brands have really figured that out and have done a great job,
Yeah.
and then other brands just are late to the game.
I was really interested to see them pick Angelina Jolie as their spokesperson. Like, don't get me wrong, she has like some of the best lips in
Oh,
Hollywood. Like, when I think of like who has the most amazing lips, I do think of Angelina Jolie.
sure.
But I was kind of surprised because when we think about like YSL, they're launching all these new lipsticks and they have like Dua Lipa. Like
Yep.
they every other brand is picking very young spokespeople and I thought
Yep.
it was interesting that they went with somebody who is a little bit more
Oh yeah.
mature, you know?
Yeah. She is definitely more appealing to, the Generation X
Yeah.
group, than she is, definitely, than Generation Z. I mean, that's they're like, who?
Yeah, like do they
Yeah,
know who she is?
it's like, I don't have any idea who that is. Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the young and upcoming stars and musicians, because that's, to be honest, beauty has continued to be a youthful market. Now, there is a difference when we're talking about like skincare and anti-aging, and beauty and brands are starting to gauge into this one. There are, if you're looking at that market and you're specifically marketing to people who are over the age of 35 and saying, hey, if you watch this show, it's time for an eye moisturizer. Yeah, you can pick someone like Naomi Watts or Angelina Jolie or whatever it is, because somebody who's older can look at one of those women and be like, or one of those men and be like, I want to look that good when I'm
Right.
if J-Lo, I want to look as good as J-Lo at 55. But if you're marketing beauty, specifically like just colorful products, that tends to lean younger. It always
Yeah.
has. So I was surprised too. I mean, like you said, she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, but I don't know if it will help them with the market I think they're trying to attract.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Tom Ford does because I feel like even more so, like at least Chanel kind of has tried some things. Tom Ford, I feel like they just keep saying, it's a new formula, new
Yeah.
eyeshadow. And we're like, what is it?
Yeah,
Like,
I
just
think you're
launch
absolutely right.
something good that we can count on because not a lot of people are going to be taking these chances if it's $90.
I agree with you. I mean, the eyeshadows have been all over the place. The new one, metallic mauve, is beautiful. I love it, but it changed from the cream formula, and honestly, I don't know what the difference is. Like there's nothing. I don't know what it is. Like, what did they do? I don't know. I mean, I know there's no talc in it, but like my point is like, how is it different than the cream formula? Is the cream formula better? I don't know because I can make some basic statements on how something wore for me or how it looks, how it's goes on and applies and blends and all of that. But if there's a difference in something, it may be different for one person or a certain group of people, and I can't necessarily know that. But if I know that a product formula has changed, I could make those kinds of adjustments into what I'm saying. But they don't announce any of that and they won't tell us any of that, so it's really hard to know.
Yeah. I think they need a little bit of a rebrand personally.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I,
I'm loving the comments here. We have one more article. Okay. I posted about this on my Instagram and a lot of people had something to say. So I figured we
there we
would
go.
chat about this a little bit. This isn't really new. So Rihanna is the new face of Dior. And I don't know if I should say new because she actually was a Dior
Right.
spokesperson, a face of Dior a couple years back. I specifically remember she was in like the Diorama bag campaign.
Yep.
And I think this was maybe before Maria Grazia Chiuri started at the brand because I think when she came in, she got rid of the whole diorama bag and everything. But I specifically remember her being one of the faces of the brand. So they've brought her back, and I guess she's replacing Charlize Theron, who has
Right.
been the face of the J'adore Dior fragrance for forever.
Long time.
Um, yeah, and I think that Dior is pretty good at picking up on a lot of like the newer like
Yes.
Hollywood starlets. Like I remember when Jennifer Lawrence started becoming really popular, they picked her up. They picked up I don't know the name. I don't even know the names of the people that are the new faces because I don't know who these young people are. But like the
Yep.
girl that's gonna be in the Snow White movie or whatever, like
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
like they pick up a lot of these like new fresh faces. And so I thought it was interesting that they went back to Rihanna. Um, I love Rihanna, but I have to be honest, like I don't really think of I feel like she's too edgy and cool for Dior. Um,
Maybe that's why they did it, though, right? Maybe that's what
maybe,
they're trying
yeah.
to do. I mean, but I agree with you. I mean, Riri is not. She's not. I mean, she's not what I think of when I think of classic Dior. She has a much edgier. She wore a bathrobe recently as couture, and she looked fabulous in it. It was like a chenille
Yeah.
bathrobe. I was like, if I tried to do that, I know exactly what I would look like, and it was not as she looked fabulous. And I was like, no. So she can pull off things that other people cannot, and maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to come off as a little bit
Maybe.
more edgy, a little bit more young.
Somebody mentioned in the comments that she has her own fragrance line, and someone also just said everybody knows she uses the Killian fragrance.
She does.
So I'm like, I don't know. I don't follow every outfit that she wears, but I don't see her wear I don't see her being photographed a lot with Dior clothing and bags. I see her wearing like Pharrell's Louis Vuitton designs. Like I think those match perfectly with kind of like her
I agree.
aesthetic, and she takes a lot of risks, whereas like I don't see Dior as a fashion brand taking a lot of risks.
No, I don't. I think it's an interesting choice, and I I would not have had that on my bingo card. That's not where I thought they were going to go. I thought they were going to go with, there's a number of like young actresses that I could have been like, oh, okay, I see that. But
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't, I mean, Riri is incredibly popular, incredibly talented, but yeah, I'll be interested to see what campaigns they do with her.
totally.
Yeah.
All right. I'm reading the comments here. I feel like a lot of people are agreeing with us here on this one. I mean,
I
it's
mean,
fine. Like they can
yeah,
pick
I mean,
whoever they want.
yeah,
I
they're
just like I
Dior.
wouldn't have thought it wouldn't have been on my bingo card. Yeah, you said it
Yeah.
very well.
It's
All
just,
right,
it's
guys.
interesting how we think of like brands and like who would be the person who comes to mind when you think of a brand, right? Like if you think of
Right.
Chanel, certain image comes to mind. Dior, Louis Vuitton, like that's the thing. And it does matter. Like who represents your brand, who's the face of your brand, does kind of, influence what people think of you, of your brand and what you're going to have. And it does sort of target your marketing, because if people are like, oh, I love Riri and I love her style and I want to look like that, and then they go into a Dior store, I
Yeah.
think they're going to be confused.
Right. Especially with that new Miss Dior collection.
I hate that collection. I'm
I
sorry.
hate I
I
hate
hate it.
it so much and I see it all over social media and I'm like,
So ugly.
it's so ugly.
It is
It
so
looks
ugly.
so like straight to
It,
outlet. Not even
it's
outlet.
it's tacky. Let's
It
let's be
looks
honest.
like fake like
Yeah,
counterfeit.
yeah, it looks like counterfeit Dior. I'm like, yeah. One thing, guys, if you haven't watched both Sophia and I before, you'll know one of the reasons that I love Sophia's channel and I love working with her is she's like me. Like she's like, no, this is terrible. Like you should not buy this. This is a terrible product. And I will say the same thing. If that means that Dior will never send me PR, well then so be it. But
Right.
you
So
know,
be it.
so be it. Like there's just some things that are just bad, and the new Miss Dior, I don't know what that is, but that is the opposite of good.
That's one brand where I think like they need a new creative director,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
badly, so
Yeah,
badly.
so badly. Oh gosh. Okay. We're going to wrap this up, guys. I do have a giveaway for you all for whomever is left.
That's right.
So,
Whoever's still here.
so first off, just want to thank you guys for joining and thank you for bearing with me through the technical difficulties. My boyfriend was the one who figured out how to get rid of the green room, so big thanks to him. I owe him a big one. If you haven't already, please, if you just have a moment, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. You guys were so engaged during this live, and I'm definitely going to do more of these. I'd like to do at least one a week, and I'm starting to think about what other guests we can have on here. If you guys like this, maybe we can convince Jennifer to come back and do another one. You know,
Anytime, anytime.
maybe not every week because I know you're very busy, but maybe we can try and do them seasonally or something like that.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah. So for the giveaway, it's gonna be. I'm just gonna do a gift card so that it can be open globally. But what I'm gonna do is whoever wins the giveaway, you're gonna get a $250 gift card or whatever that equates to in your local currency. You're going to get a gift card to whichever beauty retailer you want of your choice. So if you shop at Nordstrom, you'll let me know and I will get you a Nordstrom gift card. If you shop at Sephora, Ulta, whatever, Harrods, that's what it will be. So it'll be a $250 gift card. And what you need to do is I just want you to, number one, make sure you are subscribed to both myself and also Jennifer. She is Allfeisty. I'll put it in like I'm going to link to her channel in the description of this live after this so you guys can like click over to her channel. But just make sure you're subscribed to both myself and Jennifer. And then in the comments here, I just want you to put, let's just do, what should we do? maybe like a lipstick emoji so that I know
There you
you're trying to enter the giveaway. So we talk about lipstick so much. Do a lipstick emoji and let me know what else, like what other live ideas would you like to see, whether it be like get ready with me, news, if there's someone else you want to see on the show, give me like your feedback so I can get a little bit more ideas and about what you guys want to see. And then what I'm going to do is tomorrow morning I'm going to go through and see who commented, and I will put a pinned comment. So make sure you come back, and I'll post it out on Instagram. I'll post it on the community board. So just make sure you come back and check, and then you can get in touch with me and I will get you your gift card.
That is perfect. And
Yes.
guys, really quickly, as Sophia mentioned in the beginning of the live, I did just hit 10,000 subscribers. So today is the perfect day. I got to spend time with
Yeah.
Sophia and all of you. But I'm also doing a giveaway, and I will have more details over on my channel. I haven't figured out exactly how I'll be doing it yet, but it will be coming soon. So we'll make sure that there's a giveaway for you guys over on my channel as well.
Yes. Definitely check out her channel, guys, because she literally talks. I had a couple people message me like, "Oh, I've never heard of her," and I'm like, "Really? We literally review all the same stuff. We talk about all the same things." So, and we also have a similar skin tone as well. So like things
We
kind of
do.
show up on us the same way.
We do.
Um, so definitely subscribe to Allfeisty. Leave me a comment, leave me your lipstick emojis, all of your feedback, guys, and then I will be posting pretty soon when the next live is going to be. I already have someone exciting lined up. I have two more exciting people lined up for lives within the next month. So I'm excited for that. And once again, thank you for putting up with my technical difficulties, but I feel good getting this under my belt now.
She's got it down. She's got
Yeah,
it
yeah,
down.
yeah. I'm still talking, by the way, so you guys have more time to enter the enter the giveaway before
We're
this.
gonna keep rolling, and yeah,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
stuff comes in.
If for some reason this live like cuts out and you didn't get a chance, I will look to see who during this time frame entered it in the comments. So feel free to post it in the comments if you miss it, if you're watching on a delay or anything like that. Um, but yeah, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your evening. Thank you so much, Jen, for being my guest today. This was super fun. I hope you liked the articles and the topics, and I'll see you guys in my next one.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.